When the sun sets, the undead awaken. To slake their hunger, they feed upon the herd of unaware mortals. Right beneath our noses, the kindred clash against their rivals as they vie for control of the city of San Francisco. Are you strong enough to cheat final death and see another night? Vampire the Masquerade Rivals expandable card game from Renegade Game Studios.
Welcome everyone to Vampire Wednesdays. Imagine that. I am Sara Erickson, Director of Sales and Marketing here at Renegade Game Studios, and I'm joined by our friendly local game designer, Matt Hyra. How's it going, Matt?
Hello, just fine.
Awesome. So last week we promised you that you would actually get to see some live play of Vampire, and we are going to do that tonight. I'm very excited. We had our team working hard this last week, getting all the final files finished, updated, all those changes we talked about made, and also updating Tabletopia, which is no small feat. So thank you, shout out to Matt Teitelbaum who put all that together for us. And that allows us to be able to do a walkthrough of how the game actually works. We've talked a lot about the individual cards. We've gone through the whole crypt pack. Matt has given us lots of important hot tips from Matt about how to play and a little strategy. But that doesn't do us any good if we can't actually see anyone play. So the good news is I've only gotten to play a couple times. I'm still very green when it comes to Vampire. So Matt has agreed to walk me through how the game actually works with cards on the table using Tabletopia. So that's what we're gonna do tonight. If you have questions while we're playing, we would love to hear those. We want everybody to get a good sense of this because on October 9th, we're gonna let anyone who wants to jump into Tabletopia and actually get your hands on these cards and play. So watch out for all those announcements about Renegade Con. We're going to be opening up the link, letting anybody play. So learn how to play tonight, and then next week we'll finish up this game because we expect to take a little bit longer because we're going to go super slow, and then you'll be ready for Renegade Con. Does that sound good, Matt?
Yeah. I mean, we may or may not save the game depending on, how badly I'm beating you. So you might accidentally delete it. If I'm crushing you, you might actually delete it. So I wouldn't promise anyone we're going to finish it next week. So
that's a good point. We might not finish it next week.
Plus, we might want to show a 4-player game. We're going to show a 2-player game right now because we suspect, especially with COVID being a thing, that, you might only have, your kid brother or your spouse to play with right now. So, and a 1v1 is a great way to learn without taking the extra time for a 4-player game, right? So just get to it faster.
Cool. Well, let's dive right in. Like I said, if anybody has any questions, and while Desiree is flipping that over to Tabletopia, somebody did ask a question about what the music is that plays before the stream starts, and if Desiree wants to answer that in the chat because she's the one in charge of that.
Yeah, so I'll have to double check on the name of it, but it is a song that we bought for, especially for this show. So I have to double check on the name. So sorry about that.
Custom music, nice. All right.
There we go. Nice. All right, cool. So are we in Tabletopia? Can people see what craziness we're doing?
So yeah, so Desiree is going to be moving the camera around to show you guys things, and we're not stacking any decks right now. So for instance, I'm going to go ahead and shuffle the city deck. We already cut it down to 23 cards, right? Because as everyone knows, everyone who's watching right now has obviously read the rulebook twice. So there's 10 event cards. You shuffle those 10 event cards, remove 4 back into the box so no one knows what they are. The other 6 go into the 17 card remaining, which leaves a 23 card deck, which you might be able to see a little bit. So we shuffle that deck in Tabletopia by right clicking on it, and then doing a little shuffle motif here. And you might, there you go. You see that little wonkiness happening right there? that means the cards are being shuffled, and you don't need to do it more than once, but on Tabletopia, but it's human nature to do it. So, and then yeah, so there we go. We also flipped a coin earlier and determined that that Sara playing the Bruja is going to be first player. Okay, so let's take a quick look. If Desiree could highlight Sarah's play area, let's just take a look at what is over there.
And this is what
you guys are seeing. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is what it would look like at the beginning of the game. You do have these cards revealed. Everybody knows what your haven, your agenda, and your leader will be before you actually start.
You know, one thing that might be nice, in Tabletopia, they allow stacking of things pretty nicely, but it might actually behoove us to kind of drag our tokens out of the stack so that people can see what our resources are a little bit more clearly. Does that make sense, Sara?
Sure.
So each of us have a so Sarah, yeah. Who's someone's moving my stuff. All right.
That's me.
Okay.
It's my stuff.
You're playing the Bruja, right?
Oh shoot, this is your stuff. Oh, okay. Yeah. Tabletopia excitement. Okay. I'll go over to my side, I guess.
Lesson 1 is figure out who you're playing. That's a good one.
A good start. Yeah.
There's a little I think we've actually, there we go. See, the Toreador have a little rose in the upper right hand corner, which we've covered with the leader token just because that's a convenient place for it. So the Bruja have a little upside down anarchy symbol. That is their thing. So I think spreading out our tokens is going to help a little bit. So we start out with 20 prestige, and those are the blue tokens that you see right now off to the side. And then we each are going to start with a character in play, a vampire in play, and we're going to pay for that before the game really even starts in this case, right? Or as soon as that character is revealed, we essentially pay for it, okay? Now, with your initial core deck, you're not going to have any issues with both players choosing the same leader, so we don't need to get into all that. We're just taking it simple. And you want to make sure that when you're teaching your first game, you don't have any of the weird constructed rules about like, we're both playing Hydra. You know, you don't need to have that in your first game. So just play with the core decks as they are straight out of the box would be our recommendation for your very first game or two. Okay.
We do have
all right.
We do have 2 questions. I don't know if we want to take them while we're getting ready to set up.
We probably will barely get through turn 1 because we're just going to have infinite questions. But we'll see.
No, it's fine. That's why we're here.
So one from Facebook. So one can play the whole game, including all cards, for free. So I guess if you want to let them know where they might be able to test it out soon.
Yeah, that's a good question. So we as Renegade have rights to make a physical game. We don't have rights to make a digital game, but COVID makes everything upside down and weird. So we were granted special permission to allow people to demo this as if we were at a convention, but we aren't at a convention right now. So when we do our Renegade convention, which happens October 9th, 10th and 11th, we will be allowing people to use this link for free on Tabletopia to try it out, as if we were at a convention and you got to demo it for the weekend. So that's the circumstance where we get to allow you to try it, but it won't, and all of the cards from the core game will be in there. So you won't have the Crypt Pack cards, which are extra cards to use to modify your decks and do some little deck building and smash them together and really make them special for your own style. So those cards won't be available, but any of the 4 basic decks in the core box will be. So go ahead and play those all weekend long. End of the convention, end of the weekend, they'll be turned off again. And you'll have to wait until it actually comes out, which will be later. But if you haven't already done so, you can late pledge, or if you're a Kickstarter backer, then you're already signed up. But if you missed that, you can still late pledge just by searching for vampirecardgame.com and you'll find the link.
Yep. We also have a comment. Yep. There's a comment about saying you could hide your agenda until it is activated. That is true, but that is true for constructed games where all players already know how to play. We're here to teach people how to play, and that's really what's going to be happening during the Renegade Con, October 9 through 11. So indeed, you're correct. When you sit down to the table, you will place your leader, your haven, and your agenda face down, but that's at your table at home or at a tournament, okay? For the demo purposes and for Tabletopia, we're gonna have everything face up because that's gonna allow everyone to see everything and not forget about like flipping their agenda at an opportune time and things like that. So we just want to show, we want new players to be able to see everything, right? Some of the people who show up at Renegade Con to play may have only seen the videos on Kickstarter, so they might not know what any of the cards do, and we don't want them to get confused by seeing face down cards. So all right,
So we do, sorry, one more, the other one that I was mentioning. So with the pushing back of the Kickstarter delivery date to late January, is this going to fall into the Chinese New Year void? What's the likelihood of it getting pushed further?
That's a really, really good question. So we have been a company and doing logistics for a very long time, actually, and we are well aware of when Chinese New Year is, and that it's actually starting in the middle of January. This will be on a boat much earlier than that, probably early to middle of December. So we won't need to worry about Chinese New Year. We're way out of the way of that one. But good question.
All right. So I took the liberty to move a couple of Sarah's prestige tokens up a little bit because we need room for I need to explain the area, and we need a discard pile, by the way. So that'll be to the right. So let's just examine. This is what Sarah has here with her Brewhouse setup is a great way to set things up. You've got your prestige off to the side. You've got, in this case, the first player token. We don't need rival tokens because guess what? In a two-player game, you only have one rival out there, okay? So this is a good way to do it with your haven and agenda up front a little bit. That allows your opponents a little bit better look at what your haven and agenda is. It also makes your faction deck in your library closer to you because you're the one who's going to be drawing those cards into your hands. So there's nothing for your opponent to see there. So it's more important that the cards are closer to you for drawing. Your characters will then be to the left of this little double card setup. And that is really your haven. So whether your character is in line with your face down cards or in line with your haven, that's all part of your haven. Once you've moved out beyond that, then you're in the streets, and that's where you get to tango. All right. So we have also left room to the right of the library, meaning the yellow cards, for a discard pile. So anytime you discard a card, you'll put it face up to the right of your yellow deck. Okay. And you guys
Can I draw my cards now? I want to draw cards now.
Not quite. You guys are seeing this all top down. We're probably playing on a slightly isometric view here, so we can see the difference in the size of the stacks. So even if you're not totally sure which stack are the rival or the vampires and which one are the library cards, all you need to do is know the faction deck is going to be the smaller one. So, all right, does that make sense? I don't know.
Yep.
So you're seeing these face down, but for us, you actually can see that there are a differing amount of cards in these piles. All right, so we're all shuffled up, and I'm even going to shuffle up over here. There's a shuffle, and there's a shuffle, and I know that Sarah's already shuffled. So now we're gonna begin. Sarah, you already know. I think we want to show a little bit more play than like all the nitty gritty, right? We're not doing a demo right now. We're just showing you guys what it looks like to play. So I'm not going to explain, what your attributes are and all that stuff. So, but we will say that to start the game, each player draws 4 cards from their library. The first player will draw 1 card from their faction deck, and each other player will draw 2 cards from their faction deck. So Sarah's going to start with 5 cards, and I'm going to start with 6. So let's do that now.
So I'm actually going to draw these not into my hand like you normally would in Tabletopia.
Oh, okay.
I'm just going to put
you want to play face up? We can play face up. Let's play face up.
I'm pretty sure that
Matt's a good plan.
That's cheat against me anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, we'll play face up because why not? So yeah, I'm going to get 2 character cards. We just have to make sure we don't get too close to the edge of the screen because then they'll try to pop into your hand. That's
they do, yeah, it's fine.
They do.
we can deal with that. All right, so I've got my 4 library cards, and I get 1 faction card. So I'm going to put over here on the left. All right, got my 5 cards.
Cool.
So there's also, even in Tabletopia, we have these player aid cards. So if you're wondering about the turn sequence, the attack sequence, some different attack symbols, all those are right there for you. So that makes it really easy. So we can see we drew our cards just from the start of the game, but we haven't started the turn sequence quite yet. So is that all right if I do that?
Yes, it is. And first thing is the beginning phase. First thing to do in the beginning phase is the city deck. Now, normally you will place 1 card from the city deck at the start of your turn, but the very first player in the game will add a number of cards equal to the number of players. So in this case, that number is 2.
All right.
And go ahead and call out what those are, just so people know, just so they can.
All right, so we flipped over a tour guide, which is a citizen, and a mortal, which can be a retainer, and also a vagrant, which is also a mortal and can also be a retainer. And retainer in this case, Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, means that you can attach this
Having a hard time hearing.
one of. Oh, you can't hear me? Is that any better?
Maybe.
Okay. So these are both retainers. So if you do defeat them, you would be able to attach them to one of your vampires.
Yep. Attach them to have them work for you, or burn them to heal a whole bunch. So.
Awesome.
Now, when teaching the game, it's important to know what your agenda and haven is, and it's important to know what your opponent's haven and agenda is, because you need to be able to counter. You need to make your cards work for you and make sure that your opponent doesn't get any handouts. All right. So the Brujah Turf War, the Brujah are all about combat, and they really want to battle it out, but they can gain agenda in other ways, like gaining citizens, just like anybody else. Now, the Toreador, they do well with attaching citizens during their turn. I think Desiree might zoom in on a card here. Yeah, there it is. So yeah, when a character in the Toreador precon deck attaches a citizen, they're going to gain 1 extra agenda. The citizens are already worth 1, but with the playthings, they become worth 2. 2 is pretty good. The other thing, Desiree, if you could click on this, the tour guide out there. So Li Zhu Chen, who is the leader of the Toreador, is already a social monster, and the tour guide provides extra social. So thank you, Desiree, for shuffling that deck so many times that you gave a very good card on top. But that would be the kind of card that you would not want the Toreador to get their greedy mitts on, okay? And putting it on your guy will give you extra social defense against my social onslaught. So, bearing all that in mind, what would you like to do with your turn there, Sara?
I think I want to attack that thing, but I have to start from the beginning. So
yes, you do.
First thing I do, now that we're actually set up, is flip over a new city deck card, right?
Well, no, because you already did that. That's you placed 2 in place of the normal 1.
Okay, just
you don't.
All right,
yeah.
so
it's an instead.
phase.
Instead of flipping 1, you add 1 per player.
Got it.
If this were a 4-player game, you would have placed 4 out there. So.
Awesome. So we've done the city deck. The next thing would be ready. I don't have any vampires that need to be ready. None of them are exhausted. And then return, which means that's coming back from
the streets to your haven. Yep.
To the haven, which I also don't need to worry about. So action phase, I get to pick 2 of the list of things, and my options are draw a card, recruit a vampire, claim the Prince of the City title. Matt's little hand is on top of the next one. Play an action card or make an attack. So I'm going to see what action cards I have. I may want to, so I really want to attack. I know I want to do that. So I kind of have one other thing I can do.
Yeah, one of the fun things is the House of Pain can actually be utilized to allow your leader to do an extra point of damage. So with a physical stat of 2, if you can generate 1 extra attack in any particular way, you can get to 3, which is what you need to beat the tour guide.
And I have a couple of things. So
Probably you have cards in hand, and you can discard a faction card or a library card. Up to you.
I can discard a faction card or a library card.
Now,
oh yes, to activate the Haven.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's actually just go through an attack. We know that you can do this attack, so let's go through it step by step, just so players know what you're actually doing. So you have everything you need right now, without playing anything to do it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So why don't we go ahead and go through the attack sequence. So to make an attack, you're first going to move into the streets, all right? So go ahead and do that.
Yikes. Right.
Better to do the shift. What is it? Shift and circle? Yeah.
Shift, and you can do a box around everything, and then it'll grab everything.
Lasso things. That's something for people to remember if you come by during Renegade Con is shift, then you can lasso a whole bunch of cards and then drag them all out at once and they don't get messed up. So go ahead and move outside of your Haven area. To be a good, so forward, meaning towards the street. Maybe even a little more. Let's not get shy about it. You're not standing on the front porch. You're moving out into, okay, that's a little, how about right there? Perfect.
Okay.
See, there you go. All right. You've moved into the streets. You haven't committed to anything yet. You could just be moving out to the streets for absolutely no reason, but I believe you have a purpose to this. So you'd like to make an attack.
I would like to attack that too.
All right. And what do you do if you want to make an attack?
I exhaust.
You exhaust your character. Yes, indeed. All
There we
right.
go.
Now you've exhausted, so now I have to wonder, what she's up to, but you're going to say, I'm making an attack, and then you designate a target.
I am making an attack against the tour guide.
And what sort of attack is that? Physical, social, or mental?
I would like to make a physical attack.
Physical attack. All right, you have a physical attack of 2. Now, with citizens and vagrants and all the mortals out there, including Special Affairs Division, they don't have blood, they have a certain amount of hit points. So you can't deal incremental damage to them. You have to beat them in one go, all right? So that 2 is not quite enough to beat the 3 of your target. So now you have 2 options. Now you can use abilities, okay? And you happen to have 2 abilities. One of them is on Hydra himself, and the other one is on the House of Pain. And in fact, they may work in concert a little bit with each other. So if you wanted to spend one of Hydra's blood, you could do that to draw 1 card, because if you can zoom in on Hydra there, Desiree, he has an ability that says Attacker. Pay 1 blood, draw 1 card. He's an attacker because he is making an attack. He is specifically making an attack, not someone in his party. This is not a party ability. He has to be the attacker to be able to do this. Would you like to activate that ability to draw a card, Sara?
I'm not that worried about having cards because I can do something else. I would say no. I don't want to do it.
Okay, no problem. So now you still have your 2 physical attack. You do need to get that up to 3. So your House of Pain has an ability, discard 1 card. Your leader deals 1 extra damage. So which card would you like to discard in order to do that?
I'm going to discard this one, Rain on Your Parade.
That sounds good. Rain on Your Parade is a social attack that does pretty well if your opponent has a lot of agenda. I don't, so it's of limited usefulness right now. All right. So you've activated House of Pain. That makes your attack do +1 damage. Now you're doing 3.
Yay!
And you have successfully ensnared this tour guide into becoming a retainer for you. Now, it says on the card, when defeated, gain 1 agenda and choose 1, either burn or attach. You're not damaged. Yep, you're not damaged, so you don't need to mend. So I think you might want to attach this gal here.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm going to choose the take 1 agenda. Do that first.
Yep.
And then I'm going to move this down here.
For this demo, everyone has their own little spot of stuff. So when you're playing live, you can kind of push all your agenda and no influence tokens and even blood and prestige tokens out into the kind of off to the side a little bit where everyone can just grab them. But for here, because we want to keep people focused on a little bit of area on their screen, so we have everyone kind of has their own stuff. All right, so you gain 1 agenda. Hooray! You're going to want to put that, just go ahead and put that right onto your turf war card. Just like up, yeah, right there. Perfect. So you are collecting some agenda. Yes, indeed.
And we have a question in Twitch. So when a card says 1+ damage, that refers to any damage you are using?
That is correct. If it does not specify a particular type, then it applies to anything you're doing, which could include ranged attacks, which is a specialty of the Brujah as well. Normally, ranged attacks don't get any bonus because there's no ranged attribute. So whatever the card does is how much it does. But in this case, your leader would be able to add damage to even ranged attacks. So yes, does not matter the type in this particular case.
Pretty awesome.
You'll see when it does matter a little later on. All right. Okay,
Nice.
So you have a second action that you may perform.
And I can, again, pick from any of these ones that I had the option to do.
Indeed.
I am a little worried about only having 1 vampire out there in the streets, a little bit vulnerable. So I would like to recruit Skunk.
That sounds great. So Skunk will move into your haven, and then you're going to pay his blood potency cost in prestige. So you can just grab a 3 if you want. And flip it over.
Oops. No.
You pay for prestige, it becomes blood, and he is good to go. Now,
Awesome.
you've used your actions, but you can still do non-action functions. So one thing you can do is you could move to the streets if you wanted to protect Hydra. I can assure you Hydra is in no danger right now. So Skunk would actually be a much easier target if I decided to get all aggressive. So he might be better off hanging out in your haven where he is protected by a little bit of secrecy. At least if I attack him, you'll make me spend an extra card to get to him, okay?
And I do also have the ability on my haven that says characters in my haven have +1 secrecy. Everybody has
Correct.
that, but
everybody
is a
has
bonus,
that.
So
Yep.
that's always good.
All right, sounds like you're pretty happy with your setup here. All right,
Yeah,
I would say you are. With
that.
+1 social now on Hydra, it's going to take a little bit of doing for me to spank you down. All right,
Nice.
so there aren't any particular end of turn things you need to do. None of you guys are injured, so you don't need to mend. There aren't any Second Inquisition out there to shoot at you, so you're just going to go straight to your last thing in the turn, which is draw 2 cards. When you draw, you're going to draw these cards one at a time. So you get to decide where you're going to draw from. You might want to draw another vampire just to see if you need the option next round to recruit more. But
Yep, I'm going to do that.
Probably need
That's
some library
exciting.
cards as well. But you can take a look at it. If it's a character you don't think you want, then you could draw another vampire. But that's a pretty good one. So maybe a library card would be a better second follow-up. You rarely need more than 1 vampire in your hand. Sometimes it is very nice to have a vampire in your hand because if one of your 2 characters gets taken out, you're going to have kind of a lost round if you have to draw and recruit just to stay alive. So it's often a good idea to have an extra vampire in your hand, even if you don't have any particular intention to bring it out right away. You might want to bring it out to save your bacon later on.
Awesome.
Okay.
So I drew my 2 cards. I picked 1 vampire, 1 library card. I got some awesome stuff.
You did,
and that's the end of my turn.
All
so
right,
on to your turn.
On to my turn. Hey, in a 2-player game, it just goes back and forth, just like that. All right, I'm going to be adding 1 card from the city deck, and we're going to flip it. Okie dokie. And Desiree, you can go ahead and change, orient these however you want. It's all good. Okay. Well.
Do you want to explain the Special Affairs Division really quick? Because they're kind of
why not?
special.
Yeah. So Special Affairs Division. So Special Affairs Division is the because we're in San Francisco, they are the USA intel people. So these are made up of like high level counterintelligence, CIA, FBI, people who know that there are vampires out there, and they are secretly joining together into paramilitary groups and hunting down vampires. So they're mortals, they're an antagonist. That means they are not there to be your friend, and they're also ongoing. They have an ongoing ability. They have a blood, they have essentially 4 blood, so you need a pretty sizable attack to take them out. When you do, you gain 1 agenda and discard this. You don't burn it. That's an important thing because they can come back later on in the game. Their ongoing ability is at the end of your turn, you're going to deal 1 aggravated damage. The skull icon means damage to a character in your coterie not protected by secrecy. They have +1 intel, which stacks with other SAD, meaning if there's 2 special affairs out there, they both have +2 intel. They're working together. They're triangulating on your position. Maybe that would require 3, but whatever. We'll get there. So anyway, these guys are going to do some damage, but as luck would have it, I get to show you a pretty good way to avoid some of that damage. So I am likewise going to move Li Zhu Chen out of my haven and into the streets. And my party ability is pretty good, where during my first social attack of each of my turns, a character in that party is going to do +1 damage, but only if I have a retainer. Okay, so let me read it. Party, while this character has a retainer, their party's first social attack during each of your turns deals +1 damage to the target. All right, so normally that would be pretty useful against Hydra, but now Hydra has 2 social as well. He's as good as me. So, all right, I'm going to rotate his R, is that right?
Yeah, so you can do R, you can also do Q or E.
I'm clicking. Oh, okay. Yeah, I hit R and it didn't work. All right. Li Zhu Chen is exhausting to make a social attack against the Vagrant, who only has 2 blood. Therefore, he is going to come under my control, and I'm going to attach him thusly, and probably shift do that, to attach him to Li Zhu Chen. I don't get any, notice that the Vagrant does not have any agenda, and it does not trigger my plaything's agenda because he's not a citizen. It would, however, trigger my penthouse. Desiree, if you could show the penthouse, it would trigger my penthouse if my character had taken any damage, because when a character in your coterie attaches a retainer, that character mends 1 blood. That would have been nice if I was down, but I'm not. So the next thing I'm going to do is recruit a character, because likewise I don't want to get taken out too fast either. I have Muhammad, who is both of my draws were 5-cost draws, so it's pretty big. Muhammad is also a social guy, and I'm not feeling great about social right now. So I think Bella might actually be better, because she might be a good blocker against Hydra. So I'm going to bring Bella out into my haven. I'm going to put a 3 onto her. Isn't F flip, or what's, oh, is it?
F is flip. Is it not flipping?
Oh, hang on. I was pressing the wrong keyboard. All right, that is going to cost me 5 prestige, which gets flipped over into blood. And Li Zhu only has 1 physical, so I think it's probably a good idea if I move Bella out into the street as a potential blocker to help me stay alive. I know. Right.
I had my eye on her.
I had a feeling. I mean, I've played a time or 2. Okay, so Li Zhu attacked, and then I recruited. All right, so that's my 2 actions. Now, we do have, none of my guys are injured, so I don't have to worry about that. So we're going to go straight to the antagonist phase, which in this case is the Special Affairs Division shooting at me. And this is aggravated damage, so it gets right through the attributes. But I do have a Vagrant, and that Vagrant says exhaust Vagrant, prevent 1 damage to this character. I am going to do that. And
so when the Special Affairs Division attacks, are you choosing which of these 2 characters in the street?
yes, indeed. I choose, it could be any of my characters, including a character in my Haven, because with their +1 intel, that overcomes +1 secrecy. So literally all of my characters are potential targets. If my Haven had 2 secrecy right now, the Special Affairs would only shoot at a character in the streets. So I would have to apply that damage to someone in the street. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah. Can you also remind me what aggravated damage means versus?
Sure. Yeah. Aggravated damage is damage that is not prevented by any of a vampire's attributes. Okay. So it's not a physical attack. It's not a social attack. It's not a mental attack. It's just 1 aggravated damage. Now, if there was an attack that was like social aggravated damage, it still would not be reduced by social, right? So basically your attributes never protect against aggravated damage in any form, okay? But damage prevention, like the Vagrant or shield cards that you might have, do prevent damage. All right?
All right. So
people sometimes ask why does is the Special Affairs Division really shooting the Vagrant, right? And it's not quite that. The Special Affairs Division are hunting vampires, and they thought they heard someone being attacked down the alleyway, but when they turn the corner, there's a Vagrant who's tipping over garbage cans and disturbing cats. And so then they go, oh, forget it, it's just a bum, and leave. So that's the story of why they're not shooting at my vampires. The end.
That makes sense. Okay, good.
All
I'm
right.
glad they're not shooting any of the 4 people.
They're not actually shooting the Vagrant. He is just telling them. They're just preventing the damage. All right, so city deck time. You get to add a card.
Awesome.
Back over
All
to your
right.
turn.
So, yep. Flip this one over. And another one. Oh, this is extra bad.
It's gonna get crazy.
I need to deal with 1 or 2
both
of
need to deal with
those.
these. Yeah, probably.
Not
okay.
ideal.
After the city deck, we go to any start of turn effects, which there aren't any, but then we go to ready and return. So you get to ready Hydra, return into your Haven. And it is legal if you want to save time to not always return your characters. Like if you know 100% that you're going to be making an attack, you can sometimes say, hey, everybody, I'm just going to stay in the streets because I'm going to make an attack immediately here. That's totally fine. And, we want you guys to spend your time playing the game, not just shuffling your cards around.
That is especially important on Tabletopia because it is a little bit harder to move things around. So
because
awesome.
The tokens can fall off. So
yes. So let's go over here really quick now that we've done our beginning of the turn stuff. So these have 4 blood potency. So I need to do.
Oh, right. They have 4. It's not blood potency. It's 4 health for them.
4 health, yeah.
Right. So it's
I
gonna take
need
a little
to do
bit
a
extra
lot of
effort.
damage. Ugh. All right. What can I do? So I've attached this tour guide. So Hydra now has 2 social attack, but he also had 2 physical attack, and I would have to pick one. So that actually doesn't help me against those scary guys too much.
So because I can see your cards, you do have some nice options. One of those options would be to recruit Brother immediately, because he can actually add to your damage. You've drawn a good little crew here actually. So
yeah, so if I recruited Brother, you're suggesting I then use Throat Rip, maybe?
You could use Throat Rip. You could also use Seduction, or you could simply use the House of Pain again.
Yeah. Yeah.
because
that's true too.
2 physical from Hydra plus 1 from House of Pain. And Desiree, if you could show Brother real quick. Brother has a party ability that allows you to exhaust him while he's in the attacker's party to add 1 to the damage. So, and keep in mind that can also, you know, yeah.
And then Throat Rip also adds a damage for each character with, I'm sorry, I don't know the name of this.
Yeah, the fist is a potence. So they're good at beating people up, as you might have surmised from yeah. So in fact,
I can get to 4 a few different ways.
You can, yeah, there's a couple different ways you could do it, but bringing out Brother is probably just a good idea in general. So
let's do it. That sounds like
so
a
1
good
unhosted
first
action is Recruit, so he's going to cost 5. And at this point, you know, you've already spent 14, you've got 6 left. That's a pretty good number because, as everyone knows, the Toreador are pretty good at making people lose prestige. So you don't want to go down too far. You know, we say that 3 or less prestige is the danger zone. And if you recruit another character, you'd kind of already be in the danger zone. So
yeah, so I'm pretty happy with these though. They seem pretty good. All right, so I want to attack. I want to go out into the streets and mess up one of those special affairs division guys. So I've got Hydra here. He is definitely an important part of this party. So I'm gonna move him out into the streets.
And you can bring other guys. Use the old shift and drag, right? There you go. Yep. Excellent. And now, do you want to bring anyone else with you? Like Brother, for instance. That might be a very good plan.
I think Brother needs to go out there too.
Yeah. You could leave Skunk behind, but you know, just so he's a little safer. Probably a good idea.
When I look at this attack deals extra of that, but when I look at Throat Rip, it's extra for each character in the party. So correct. Do I want to put Skunk out there because then it gives me that would aid the attack.
That Throat Rip is very powerful, especially with the 3 characters that you have. You can basically do +3 damage to its 1 inherent damage. So that's a lot of physical damage that can deal. So
I may want to save that.
Might be a card that you want to save, you know. You could use Seduction, or you could just use the House of Pain.
Okay, I think we'll just use House of Pain. So we're going to declare an attack on one of the Special Affairs Division agents. And that is the first one, so we're going to turn him sideways.
Yep, exhaust the attacker. Hydra is the attacker. And you're making a physical,
I am going to make a physical attack.
Okay, sounds good.
Do you then get a chance to respond after I declare that before I do my things?
No, I do not. There are only a couple ways to do that, like the Street Preacher in the Malkavian deck, or there's a Haven in the Crypt Pack called the Dragon's Roost. Those would allow me to interrupt an attack against a mortal, but I don't have any of those right here. We wanted to keep the basic, we wanted to keep the demo games very easy, and trying to determine whether or not you should block an attack this early in the game is a little too much for a brand new person. So we wanted to leave those kind of things out. Okay, so you're currently doing 2 damage, so you need to figure out how to do 2 more.
So first thing, I'm going to exhaust Brother. So that gives me 1 more.
Because
and that adds to my physical attack.
Because that's a party ability, he can use it to aid someone in the party.
Perfect.
And
did I need to declare...
And it's the cost for that is an exhaust. And exhaust does not say action, it just says exhaust. So you get to just do that at no action cost.
I like that. Do I need to declare that these 2 are in a party together at some point, or are we good?
Because you move them out together, you essentially move them out together, and you essentially say these guys are in a party. It's usually obvious because the cards are very close to each other. We usually recommend that there's about a 3 to 4 inch gap between people who aren't in parties. So, In this case, we can assume that you're in a party because you moved them out together. They were very close together, but essentially you do want to kind of say, okay, I'm going to move this party out into the street, things like that.
Okay,
but in
perfect.
fact, let's just look at one thing real quick. Go ahead and let's say that you don't have to move anything, but let's say that you did bring them out separately, right? You brought them out separately because you thought you were going to make 2 attacks, and then you change your mind. Well, a ready character in the street may join any party. That's just a free thing you can do. So even if brother had been off on his own or left behind, you could say, wait a minute, I'm going to bring him into the party. Now I'm going to declare an attack. Once the attack is underway, you're inside of an action. You can't do any moves at that point. Okay. So you did it in the right way. You added brother before the attack was announced.
Excellent. All right.
So you're
so
currently
I'm now
generating
at
3 damage. You need to find 1 more. And I'm pretty sure House of Pain is your friend.
Yeah, so looking at my cards, I could use Throat Rip, but as you said, I could get up to 5 with that, so I kind of want to save it. Also looking at Seduction, it's the same problem. I have a couple of different characters with that same discipline, so I probably
think
want to
all
hold
of your
on to that
attack
one.
cards are awesome. I would say
They're
that
pretty
that
awesome.
fleetness card is probably one that you don't need right now, actually.
Boop.
It only,
all right.
Yeah, it only is helping because fleetness, if Desiree, if you could show fleetness. Fleetness is a reaction that you can react to both ranged and physical attacks, but as the name suggests, you need to be fleet of foot to use it. And so that's the celerity symbol, that little lightning bolt. That's the celerity discipline. The only character you have right now with celerity is Hydra. So that card would not be very good to protect brother or skunk. And guess what? Hydra already has 2 physicals, so that is not that's not a card that you particularly need at the moment. So that's what makes for a very good discard.
So just like last time, I'm going to use House of Pain. That ability allows me to discard this.
2 from Hydra, 1 from brother, and 1 from House of Pain equals 4. So guess what? You just smacked down on a Special Affairs division.
All right. So
and maybe we can rotate these a little bit just so they kind of something like Oh, sorry.
Oh, perfect. Nope, you're good. And then we'll just want to read this. I'm not touching it.
All right, who's touching it? Someone's touching it. Whatever. We'll just leave it there.
It's fine. So when I defeat it, I do gain another agenda, and we discard
and that's
this.
written right on the top line is when defeated, gain 1 agenda and discard it. So you discard it next to this is useful information for people watching. When you discard a card from a city deck card, you're going to place it on the other side of the city deck. When you burn a card from the city deck, you're going to push it like a foot or 2 away. All right, it's in the burn pile. Some of those events can come back, so you do want to have just 1 burn pile for the city deck cards, because if you get Chinese New Year, you're going to be fishing the event cards out of there to go back into the city deck. So, but for discarded cards, which can happen with Special Affairs Division and the Ventru's Royal Retreat Haven in the pre-con decks, discards go right next to the deck. So there you go.
Excellent. And I grabbed my agenda that I got from defeating that character, and I think I'm good to go. Yeah?
Well, yeah, you recruited and you attacked, right? I believe that's what you did. All right.
So then I look at the end phase and more bad things happen.
There is a bad thing that happens this time. None of your characters are injured, so torpor and healing is not necessary. There's no end of turn triggers that you're doing, but there is an antagonist step here, and that is 1 point of aggravated damage to somebody. Anybody. Who's it going to be?
Well, I think that brother is probably going to eat this one because he's pretty big and he's probably not going to attack.
And he's got, brother is a jack of all trades. One physical, 1 social, 1 mental. He's not really vulnerable to any particular attack type, so he tends to stay around a little longer. Okay, so you're losing 1 from brother. That's great. And now, end of turn, you're going to draw 2 cards.
Draw 2
so
cards.
At this point, you probably don't need any more vampires, so you can just draw 2 straight from your deck, from your library. And in the meantime, perfect. As soon as people start drawing their cards, you can go ahead and flip out the city deck card. It's all good. All right. Let's see what happens over here.
And we are close to running out of time.
Turnabout is
go.
fair play. Amazing. It's the Citizen Athlete, which is an attachment bonus of +1 physical. Oh, you stole my social. I'm going to steal your physical if I can. All right.
Oh, that's so lame. I would love to have him
it's
added to
beautiful.
my team.
It's a beautiful thing.
So we are getting really close to the end of our regular time this week. So if anybody has any more questions, please post those. We're gonna just finish up Matt's turn and then be done for the evening. So yeah, if you have questions, please ask. We're happy to
You know what I'm gonna do though? Just to show people, I'm gonna show off what a real attack looks like here. All right?
So, and there is a clarification question, and I know that some people might wonder, depending on what the agenda says for non-rival characters, like just defining. So someone had asked if since her agenda also says she gains 1 whenever she defeats an enemy, so they're wondering as far as clarification for that.
Sure. Yeah, it's non-rival character. Mortals are not characters. Only vampires are characters. Okay, so that the turf war does not count any of the mortals that you defeat.
So if I were actually playing a real game, I maybe wouldn't choose that agenda to bring with me if I knew I was playing with only 2 people. That's why we have that crypt pack, so that you have extra agendas that you could choose from.
That's true. Yeah, for a 1v1, the turf war is not the best perhaps, but the first line, when you defeat a non-rival character, gain 1 agenda, that isn't applicable in a 1v1 game. But the second line is, when you defeat a character with 5+ blood potency, gain 1 agenda. If you took out either of my characters right now, you would gain 1 additional agenda, so you gain 2, because both of my guys have 5+ blood potency. Makes sense?
Which is kind of what Bruja does. Like, that's going to happen later on in the game, obviously not
Right.
in the first 2 turns, but I'm going to start beating up characters that have 5 blood potency pretty quickly here.
Sounds good. All right, I'm going to show a little bit of stuff here. All right, I'm just going to leave my guys in the street because I'm going to go ahead and make an attack. I'm just going to make an attack that's going to show off a little bit of stuff here. So,
yay!
Let's do that, right? All right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have Li Zhu is going to attack. I'm going to go after Hydra because we just want to show people what happens. So, I'm keeping my party of 2 guys here because Muhammad is not in play yet, and I'm exhausting Li Zhu Chen in the streets. I'm going to declare a social attack against Hydra, and I'm going to play an attack card face down. So
face down?
Oh yeah.
Sneaky.
Face down is how you do it. So now you have to determine if you've got any social reactions.
I do not have any reaction cards, so
All right.
I do not believe I can do anything about that.
Sounds good. Okay, so let's go ahead. If you don't have anyone to block with because there's no ready members of the party, and you don't have any reactions, so you just say no blockers, no reactions. I then
Go
would
for it.
flip my card over, and it is Seduction. It is a social attack with a BP requirement of 3. I have BP 6, so it's a legal card. Choose 1. Steal 1 blood from the target, or this attack deals +1 damage to a city deck mortal. I'm going to choose the first one, and it's going to be steal 1 blood from the target. Now, stealing 1 blood from the target means I take a blood, but because Li Zhu is still at max health, right? I haven't taken any damage. I can't actually put that blood on myself because that would be more blood than my blood potency. So in fact, that blood just goes away, all right? Now, that effect happens before damage is actually resolved, all right? Even though the damage would continue, the combat continues. I have 2 social +1 because I have a Vagrant attached, and this is my first social attack for the turn. So I'm doing social 3 against you right now. You have social of 2. So guess
That
what?
is true.
You're taking 1 damage. 3 damage minus 2 social equals 1 damage. So get that out of there.
Oh,
Excellent.
man. Rough.
All right.
All right.
And now the seduction is discarded. And notice on seduction that it had an inherent damage of 0. So that means that I'm using the card for its effect a little bit more than for its damaging purposes, because it doesn't add to the damage of the attack. Although clearly stealing 1 blood from someone is pretty good. It's kind of like aggravated damage, except it doesn't burn them. All right.
It's true.
Now
Ooh, sorry.
I'm gonna do one other thing here. So Bella was part of this party, but I'm actually gonna move her away from the party so that she can make an attack of her own. All right. A character can be a part of a party and even use party abilities as long as they don't exhaust them, and then still break off and do their own thing. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to exhaust Bella like so. I'm going to discard this Primogen card because I'm going to make an attack against your skunk who is in your haven. So I just discarded a card to gain 1 intel, which beats your 1 secrecy. All right. And I'm going to make a physical attack, against skunk. Do you have any reactions? You don't have anyone who can block for him.
Nope, I do not have any. Oh, he does have guard. I can block my own type of attack.
Right. That means if he was ready and in a party, he could exhaust to block a ranged attack. Only guards can block ranged attacks. Okay, so no
nothing,
block,
but he
no
does,
reaction, right?
He does
no
have
block,
1
no
physical. No block, no reaction.
Okay,
And he's got 1 physical.
So Bella has an attacker ability that says discard the top card of your library. If it is not an attack card, this attack deals +2 damage to the target. So this is a bit of a crapshoot, but let's see what happens.
Oh,
and I'm going to just go ahead and flip the card out right over here and see what happens. Oh, that is not an attack card. That is a search engine, which is funny because Bella really, really loves the search engine. So because that allows her to set up the top card of her deck to make her ability work a little more often. All right, so my attack now has additional +2 damage. That's a total of 4. And if we go over here to skunk, you have a physical of 1, which means 3 damage is getting through. And guess what? Skunk has only 3 health. So he goes to torpor.
All right, so where on this map would torpor be to
Where on this map should torpor be? Probably in the blank space way off to the left, okay? And go ahead and exhaust him just so it's a little more obvious that he's in torpor. Turn him sideways. And now, as part of the torpor process, you have to take 1 of your prestige and place it on him, flipping it to the blood side. That starts the healing process. So go ahead and do that now. Now, because you are my rival and I knocked out a rival character, I gain 1 agenda. So
here's a question.
I think I forgot to give myself my agenda from last time. Look at them.
Oh, so when torpor happens, you said go ahead and heal him right now, but does that only happen on my turn, or does that happen during your torpor?
Right. Good question. So the torpor phase is during your turn. That's when they heal for free. This is going into torpor. The 1 blood that they gain going into torpor is not free. It comes from your prestige. So you're going to move 1 prestige onto him and flip it over. That way you don't have a character in torpor who you've kind of forgotten about. Maybe you think he's out of the game, whatever. He's got a blood on him. Now you know he's not burned. And there will be reasons in the future that you'll want to have blood on characters in torpor. And that's all I'll say of it. So,
ooh,
yeah.
Sneaky.
All right.
Like it. Okay.
So I knocked out your character. I gained 1 agenda from that. And now it would be the end of my turn. And once again, I'm going to go shuffling through garbage cans to distract the Second Inquisition over there. And that was both of my actions. I took 2 attacks, pretty aggressive for the Toreador, but as we can see, sometimes just pays to be lucky and good like me. So.
Well, and I hate to say it, but you do have 3 agenda towards that 13 that you would need to win the game. I've only got 2, so you're barely 2.5.
I wouldn't recommend that the Toreador leave the athlete to the Bruja, because that's just asking for a beatdown. And if they do manage to get it, you want to try to dig for some cards to try to find a card that can steal away some attachments from your foes.
Very nice.
But I think it's already after 6. Maybe are there any more questions around here?
So there was one that I saw. Are there upside down card mechanics in existence, or could Torpor be upside down?
Right. We wouldn't want it upside down for a couple reasons. First, we do need to know what the blood potency of the character is, just to determine when they come back from Torpor, because as soon as they have blood equal to their BP, they're going to be able to come back. Okay.
Hold on, I don't think they mean face down. I think they actually mean upside down, like my character. Right now.
Upside down. I see. Okay. When I heard upside down, I thought, okay. Upside down, that's totally fine. Whatever you want to do. The only thing is, it's your Torpor, it's your area. It's not a group Torpor. It's not like a slumber party where everyone's invited. It's your Torpor area. You want to leave them face up, and putting them upside down is totally fine if you want to do that. Yeah, we just suggested to turn it sideways just because then we don't have all the confusion about upside down versus face down, like I just did. So there you go. Yeah, but upside down is totally fine. Whatever you want to do. If you want to create a nice little, if you want to get a doll bed for them to lay in, that's totally fine. Whatever you want.
Slumber parties and doll beds.
Just off to the side a little bit, but not so far away that you're going to forget to give them 1 blood automatically at the end of each of your turns. Plus, you can also discard a card to increase that healing a little bit. So get them back from Torpor even faster. So,
and then someone did ask, let's see, when is
the deck builder coming?
The digital deck builder.
When is the digital deck builder?
The online deck builder, not a new game. They're talking about the online card crafting. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, that's a very good question. So the person who is managing that is actually Terry Latorco on our team. And I will have to ask her where they're at and get back to you. I know they're working really hard on a bunch of different aspects of the website right now. And I believe that she was just about to submit a whole bunch of stuff to Paradox to make sure the World of Darkness team got a look at it and make sure everything was good before going live with it. So I know she's been working really hard on it, but I don't have an exact answer for when that'll happen yet. So I'll try and find out and let you know next week. That was a good question. Any other questions?
No, I think that was it that I saw. Just checking Facebook too. Nope, that looks like that's
so
it.
There currently are not any upside down card mechanics, like having twisting cards to various rotations is not currently a thing. So yeah, you can do your Torpor however you want.
Very nice. That's awesome. Well, thank you everyone who joined us. Lots of great questions. Don't forget, October 9th is when we're going to turn this on, so everybody gets to play it. We will be back next week, and we'll get to show you a little bit more of the game. Obviously, we only got a couple turns in. We want to show you more, and so join us next Wednesday. We'll be here at 5 o'clock Pacific time. And in between, you can find us on Facebook, where we also have a Discord channel. All of that information is at vampirerivals.com, and make sure you go there and check out all the cool information we've got, and we will be adding more to it very soon as well. So it's great to see everyone as always on Wednesdays, and we look forward to seeing you again next week. Thank you, Matt and Desiree, for helping out.
Thanks.
And have a wonderful rest of your night. Bye.